James Stuart, born in 1566, was destined for greatness from the very beginning. His birth took place in Edinburgh Castle, a fortress that has stood the test of time and witnessed countless historical events. The birth of James was a significant moment in Scottish history, as he was born into a lineage of royalty and power. James was a king from birth, inheriting the throne as an infant. His early life was marked by the weight of the crown, a responsibility that few could imagine bearing at such a tender age. The coronation ceremony, held when he was just 1 year old, was a grand affair symbolizing the continuity of the Scottish monarchy. He was King James VI of Scotland, a title that came with immense expectations and challenges. The young king's life was intricately tied to the fate of his nation, and his reign would eventually shape the course of Scottish and British history. His mother was Mary, Queen of Scots, a figure of great historical significance. Mary was a Catholic, and her faith played a crucial role in the political and religious dynamics of the time. Her life was filled with intrigue, conflict, and tragedy, all of which had a profound impact on young James. His father was Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, a nobleman whose life was cut short under mysterious and violent circumstances. The union of Mary and Henry was fraught with tension and political maneuvering, reflecting the turbulent times in which they lived. Lord Darnley was murdered when James was just a baby, an event that cast a long shadow over his early years. The murder, shrouded in mystery and conspiracy, left a lasting mark on the young king and the nation. James became King of Scotland when he was just 1 year old, a position that placed him at the center of the nation's political and religious struggles. His coronation was not just a ceremonial event, but a pivotal moment in Scottish history, symbolizing hope and continuity amidst uncertainty. He had a difficult childhood, growing up in a country divided by religious and political turmoil. The young king faced numerous challenges, from threats to his life to the constant power struggles that defined the era. Scotland was divided by religious and political turmoil, with Protestant and Catholic factions vying for control. This period of conflict and instability shaped James's early years and influenced his approach to governance and diplomacy. Despite the challenges, James was a bright child with a keen intellect. His education was a priority, and he was tutored by some of the finest scholars of the time. His studies included a wide range of subjects, from classical literature to the sciences. He received a good education, which laid the foundation for his future role as a monarch. His tutors recognized his potential and nurtured his intellectual curiosity, preparing him for the complexities of leadership. James was fascinated by history and theology, subjects that would greatly influence his reign. His interest in these fields was not just academic. It shaped his policies and his vision for the future of Scotland and eventually England. His early life, marked by both privilege and adversity, set the stage for a reign that would leave an indelible mark on history. Queen Elizabeth I of England died in 1603. She had no children. Her death marked the end of the Tudor dynasty, which had ruled England for over a century. The nation was left without a direct heir, leading to a significant moment of uncertainty and transition. James was her closest relative. As the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and a great-great-grandson of Henry VII, James had a strong claim to the English throne. His lineage connected the Scottish and English royal families, making him a suitable candidate to inherit the crown. He became King James I of England. His ascension was a pivotal moment in British history, as it marked the beginning of the Stuart era. James's coronation was a grand affair, symbolizing the union of the two crowns under a single monarch. He was the first monarch to rule both England and Scotland. This dual kingship was unprecedented and brought about a new era of political and cultural exchange between the two nations. James's vision was to create a unified kingdom, which he referred to as Great Britain. James's accession to the English throne was peaceful. However, he faced challenges. Despite the smooth transition, James had to navigate the complexities of ruling two distinct kingdoms with their own traditions and governance structures. England and Scotland were separate countries. Each had its own parliament, legal system, and religious institutions. The differences between the two nations were deeply rooted in their histories and cultures. They had different laws and religions. England was predominantly Anglican, while Scotland adhered to Presbyterianism. These religious differences often led to tensions and conflicts, complicating James's efforts to govern both realms effectively. James wanted to unite them. He envisioned a single, cohesive kingdom that would bring stability and prosperity to the British Isles. His efforts included proposing a unified legal system and promoting cultural integration. He believed in the divine right of kings. This doctrine held that monarchs were appointed by God and accountable only to him. James's belief in his divine right to rule shaped his approach to governance and his interactions with Parliament. He thought he was God's chosen ruler. This conviction gave him a sense of purpose and authority, but it also led to conflicts with those who challenged his absolute power. James's reign was marked by his efforts to balance his divine right with the practical realities of ruling a diverse and complex kingdom. James I faced a difficult task. He wanted to unite England and Scotland. He called himself King of Great Britain. However, he faced resistance from both English and Scottish parliaments. They were reluctant to give up their power. James was a Protestant. He opposed the Catholic Church. He faced threats from Catholic plots. These plots aimed to overthrow him. He also faced opposition from Puritans. They wanted to purify the Church of England. One of the most dramatic events of James I's reign was the Gunpowder Plot. In 1605, a group of Catholic conspirators planned to blow up the Houses of Parliament. They wanted to kill James and his government. The plot was led by Robert Catesby. Guy Fawkes was chosen to carry it out. However, the plot was discovered at the last minute. Fawkes was caught guarding the gunpowder. The plotters were arrested and executed. Section 5, the King James Bible, a lasting legacy. James I is best known for the King James Bible. In 1604, he commissioned a new translation of the Bible into English. He wanted a Bible that was accurate and easy to understand. The King James Bible was completed in 1611. It quickly became the standard English Bible. It was used in churches throughout England and its colonies. It is still widely read today. Section 6, Patron of the Arts, James I and the Renaissance. James I was a patron of the arts. He supported writers, musicians and artists. His court was a centre of culture and learning. He was a great believer in education. William Shakespeare's company became the King's Men. They performed plays at court. James also enjoyed masques. These were elaborate courtly entertainments. They combined music, dance and drama. Section 7, Challenges and Conflicts, Navigating a Turbulent Reign. James I's reign was not without its significant challenges. He faced constant financial problems and economic instability. He clashed with Parliament over money, foreign policy and governance. He also faced religious tensions. James believed in absolutism. He believed that kings had absolute power and divine right. This brought him into frequent conflict with Parliament. They believed in the rights and liberties of the people. Section 8, The Twilight of a Reign, James I's later years. In his later years, James I's health declined. He became increasingly isolated. He relied heavily on his favourite, George Villiers, Duke of Buckingham. This caused resentment at court. James I died in 1625. He was succeeded by his son, Charles V. James left behind a mixed legacy. He had unified the crowns of England and Scotland. However, he had also sown the seeds of conflict. Section 9, Legacy of a Ruler, James I's Impact on England. James I's legacy is complex. He is remembered for the King James Bible. He is also remembered for his role in the Gunpowder Plot. He was a scholar and a patron of the arts. James I was a significant figure in English history. He was the first Stuart King of England. He shaped the course of the monarchy. His reign was a time of both peace and turmoil. Section 10, Conclusion, a complex figure in English history. James I was a complex and contradictory figure. Born in 1566, he became King of Scotland as James VI in 1567 and later King of England and Ireland as James I in 1603. His reign marked the first time England and Scotland had the same monarch, a significant step towards the eventual unification of the two countries. He was a scholar and a politician. James was known for his intellectual pursuits, authoring several books and treatises on topics ranging from theology to witchcraft. His political acumen, however, was often questioned as he struggled to manage the complex and often fractious English Parliament. He was a peacemaker and a tyrant. James sought to maintain peace in Europe through strategic marriages and alliances, yet his heavy-handed approach to governance and his belief in the divine right of kings often led to accusations of tyranny. He was a patron of the arts and a persecutor of religious minorities. James's support for the arts led to a flourishing of culture, with figures like William Shakespeare and Ben Jonson thriving during his reign. However, his policies towards religious dissenters, particularly Catholics, were harsh and led to significant unrest. James I's reign was a time of great change and upheaval. The early 17th century saw the beginning of the British colonization of America, the rise of the scientific revolution, and significant developments in literature and the arts. It was a time of religious and political turmoil. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605, an attempt by Catholic conspirators to assassinate James and blow up the Parliament, highlighted the intense religious conflicts of the era. Politically, James's frequent clashes with Parliament over issues of taxation and royal prerogatives set the stage for future conflicts. It was also a time of great cultural and intellectual achievement. The King James Bible, commissioned by James and completed in 1611, remains one of the most influential translations of the Bible. The period also saw advancements in science, with figures like Francis Bacon laying the groundwork for the scientific method. James VII's legacy continues to be debated by historians today. While some view him as a forward-thinking monarch who laid the foundations for a united Britain, others criticize his authoritarian tendencies and his failure to effectively manage the political and religious tensions of his time. His reign remains a subject of fascination and study, reflecting the complexities and contradictions of his character and his era.